Knocking down structures isn't easy, but what happens when a controlled demolition is far from controlled? These are building demolitions that went horribly wrong. Take the controlled collapse of this 160-foot silo in eastern Denmark in 2018. In case you didn't notice, that was meant to fall the other way. There are two ways to safely take down a structure like this: by slowly dismantling it from the inside, or, the quicker option, cutting out a section near the bottom on the side you want to fall, then toppling it using explosive charges. You can see where they knocked out the area, but something went wrong, and it crashed into a nearby office like the Kool-Aid man on a bender. Thankfully, the building was empty, and no injuries were reported, though investigators still don't know why it happened. And believe it or not, they'd been planning it for over 6 months. I guess when it comes to knocking down over 100 feet of concrete, there's no such thing as over-preparing. But what do you do if you're just a local farmer who can't afford all those fancy explosives? Well, you gotta get creative. Talk about an anticlimax. So for round 2, they sent a man to do what a car couldn't do.
One more hit, Kyle!
Why am I not surprised he's called Kyle?
He'd have to stand all the way over there.
Sick of being outsmarted by a literal grain silo, they finally decided to bring out the big guns. Makes you wonder why they didn't do that in the first place. But did they really need to destroy that car in the process? Whichever way you do it, though, make sure you're already limbered up, just in case things take a dangerous turn. Talk about a close shave. Be sure to also ensure you don't cause more destruction than you bargained for either. We can only hope they meant to destroy that barn. Also, what's up with dads and having a silo-themed death wish? When removing a chimney, you want to start from the top and carefully take it down one brick at a time. Otherwise... Let this next terrifying clip be a lesson. You can never be too far away from a demolition. Did you miss it? Let's try that again at half speed. This footage from Prostějov in the Czech Republic is the dictionary definition of a close call, with a football-sized hunk of rubble flying past 6 people. Yet somehow the only injury was a cut on the cameraman's right hand. Woo! Despite how chaotic they seem, most leveling projects are incredibly well thought out. Charges are placed at precise points on support structures, and when they go off, the support is knocked out, and the upper section collapses directly onto the lower section, bringing the whole thing neatly down in on itself in a controlled implosion. Experts use as few explosives as possible and wrap each in puncture-resistant fabric, so you don't get pieces shooting hundreds of feet away. Get this wrong, and your implosion can end up sending your building outwards, to devastating effect, as you're about to see. In August 2013, 1,000 Californians gathered to witness the demolition of the decommissioned PG&E steam power plant. Little did they know that some would be leaving with missing limbs. Looks like it went off without a hitch, right? Except, look again from a slightly different angle. All that debris flying from the plant was thrown with such force that it hit spectators over a quarter of a mile away, injuring 5 people. One 43-year-old man was hurt so badly that he had to get his leg amputated. Jeez. The Safety and Enforcement Division found that the subcontractors used a ridiculous 15 times the amount of explosives they needed to. On top of that, instead of using blast-proof fabric, they covered each charge with nothing but a plywood box. Not exactly the toughest material. It was clear that PG&E did practically no research on the potential impact of the explosion, and innocent bystanders paid the price. What's crazier is that just a year earlier, the company had a similar accident at the same site, that time leading to a fatality. How are these guys still in business? Now here's a tip. Never walk under active construction equipment, especially if it's just to rustle some useless debris around.
Oh my God!
How does that even happen? Well, attachments are fitted using 2 massive pins, which are usually smacked in with a hammer and knocked back out when done. So presumably both snapped at the same time. Let this be a lesson. On demolition sites, assume everything is trying to kill you. Oh, and you also need an iron stomach when it comes to heights. Holy vertigo. Despite how it looks, this is one demolition that's actually going well. In order to get those excavators up there, massive cranes were used to hoist them onto the roof, and extra supports were set up to offset shifting weight and withstand increased pressure. Still, it's a constant battle to avoid cave-ins, falling loads, and people getting knocked over. If engineers and workers don't pay constant attention, you'll get incidents like the one at the New Orleans Hard Rock Hotel in 2019. Over 100 people were building the 350-room hotel right near the city's historic French Quarter. But on October 12th at 9:12 a.m., this happened.
Oh my God.
Between 6 and 8 of the 16 floors collapsed, taking 3 lives and injuring 30 others. After deserved public outrage, the hotel project was abandoned, and the remaining scaffolding was torn down. See that crane? Yeah, that wasn't supposed to survive. And that crane damaged the street below, requiring costly repairs. Though luckily, nobody was hurt. Adding to the outrage was uncovered footage supposedly from inside the site 2 days before the accident. The footage itself has been scrubbed from the internet, but one poor-quality screenshot survives, showing poorly spaced support beams literally bending under the weight of the roof. The Occupational Safety Health Administration found that it was these inadequate beams and improper bolt connections that contributed to the collapse. All eyes turned to the leading group behind the hotel's construction, Heaslip Engineering. But despite all the evidence, a Louisiana grand jury declined to issue criminal charges against anyone involved in the incident. Luckily, nearly 6 years later, a group representing the workers, bystanders, and businesses affected privately reached a partial settlement with the building's former owners. For a similarly nightmarish incident, check out this residential house in the UK mid-construction. Now, it doesn't take Bob the Builder to see how a lack of proper supports led to the whole wall breaking off, and while the cameraman's clearly not happy, better to have the building cave now instead of when actual people are inside it. But for a catastrophic example of building management, look no further than Miami Beach, Florida. On July 23, 2018, the 13-story Marlboro house was condemned to be destroyed. Preparations were underway to tear down the building when all of a sudden, it collapsed before it was supposed to. sending huge hunks of debris flying at bystanders and striking one worker, taking his life. How could this happen? Well, it seems that the contractors were up to some shady business. Miami Beach officials refused to issue Allied Bean Demolition an implosion permit for the site, meaning they couldn't use explosives. That means they should have gone with the more time-intensive but safer process of tearing the building down from top to bottom with cranes, which allows more control over the demolition and reduces debris buildup. But that would have been far too sensible for these bozos, so instead they decided to manually pull out the support structures on the first floor, essentially kicking the knees out of the building so it would drop like a controlled demolition. Only, things didn't go as planned. The building dropped earlier than expected, with way more impact. On top of that, they'd also invited the public to come and see the collapse, only they didn't keep traffic or bystanders at a safe enough distance, leaving them covered in dust and concrete. We don't know exactly what caused the failure. Allied Bean refused to take accountability and all cases were settled out of court. Still, it's clear something went majorly wrong. Another problem with trying to speed run a project in an urban area is potentially catching the surrounding buildings in the crossfire. Take what happened in Izmir, Turkey. The falling building crashed right into another, sending out that monstrous plume of dust. While luckily no one was hurt by the debris, exposure to airborne dust on work sites can lead to serious side effects like asthma or even lung cancer. Then there's the risk of inhaling asbestos, which can lodge permanent needle-like fibers in your lungs. Seriously scary stuff. But wait, why was that guy at the start spraying water? How's that gonna help? Well, by covering surfaces in water, it can stop dust accumulating in the first place, and jet streams can even snatch floating particles from the air, so you don't breathe them in. But in this case, it was like trying to stop a tsunami with an umbrella. Now, want to save some money while shopping online? Meet Coopert, the free AI-powered shopping assistant that automatically finds the best coupons across 200,000-plus stores. Just click Apply Coupon before checkout and watch the savings add up. And here's the best part. If Coopert doesn't find a working coupon, they offer a max guarantee, so you're always getting the best deal. On top of that, Coopert gives cash back at over 76,000 retailers, and it's super fast. Usually you can withdraw your cash back in 3 to 15 days straight to your bank account or PayPal. Coopert even goes one step further by automatically hunting for lower prices on the same product while you shop, saving you both time and money. Join over 9 million users who save an average of $600 per year with Coopert. Click the link below to install Coopert for free on all major browsers and start saving today. See if you can spot the collapsing building caught on this spine-tingling dashcam in Hualien City, Taiwan. Oh, there it is. The 6-story Manbo Hotel was mid-demolition in 2021 when it happened to tip disastrously out into the road. The accident knocked out local power, totaled 3 parked vehicles, and almost squashed multiple drivers. Imagine being the person on the bike, though. They were just seconds away from becoming a human pancake. Eesh. Just in case you're still feeling okay about driving near a work site, in Moscow, looking both ways means looking up, too. Damn. Worn-out equipment and lax safety regulations have led to a spike in accidents in Russia over the last few decades. But that was nothing on the devastating incident in 2020 at the St. Petersburg Sports and Concert Complex. News outlet Fontenka was live-streaming the team at work as they slowly took down the structure when, out of nowhere, this happened. What was supposed to be a renovation to get the stadium ready for the 2023 Ice Hockey World Championship turned into an utter catastrophe. By cutting into the roof, the team had unknowingly weakened the structure to the point the whole thing collapsed, tragically taking the life of one 29-year-old worker with it. Haunting. But it's not just Russia where safety regulations aren't up to snuff. Check out this demolition disaster near Sao Paulo in Brazil.
A caixa d'água caindo ali, ó. A água já tá começando a cair, ó. Ela já tá tombando já, ó. Tá, porra. Aí, ó. Que fizeram aí, ó.
Imagine just going about your day when you're suddenly thrown into an Indiana Jones movie. This impromptu steamroller was actually a water tank that had been contracted to be removed. While luckily nobody was harmed, the masonry was so heavy it totaled multiple parked cars. It transpires that on top of completely bungling it, the work was done without a permit, leading to the engineer responsible being arrested and taken in for questioning. My first question would be, what the hell were you thinking? I mean, knocking down a cylinder near a hill? At least regular buildings don't roll, eh? Oh, this derelict factory in Turkey came within mere inches of smashing right into its neighbor and setting off the world's biggest domino chain. When you're taking out a structure with nothing but a sledgehammer, be sure to only chip off exactly as much as you need, or else. Here's my advice to any construction workers watching. Don't park near your work site. Now that's unlucky, like the world's worst game of whack-a-mole. I guess somebody's walking home. This video from a village in the Tver Oblast, Russia, is yet another reason why you shouldn't mess with water towers. On the upside, nobody was riding shotgun. Besides, it could always get worse. Jeez. If that was on purpose, then it's pretty dang cool. If not, then it must have been very hard to explain to the boss, assuming they weren't in there, of course. And yet, things can get even worse.
3, 2, 1, fire!
Gotta give the kid points for being the only one who realized they should be running. This 2010 Ohio field trip gone wrong shows a 275-foot smokestack falling the wrong way, knocking out two 12,000-volt power lines and a building housing a backup generator. In total, the accident disrupted power to 4,000 people. Lisa Kelly, owner of the company that set the charges, said that an undetected crack on the south side caused the lopsided fall. When preparing for demolition, an engineer's supposed to survey the structure's condition before determining the safest way to knock it down. Well, clearly on this one, they screwed up big time. Who knew one small crack could cause such a headache? But Ohio's silo fiascos don't stop there. Look at this footage from 2022 at a power plant in Manchester, Ohio. The charges were only meant to topple the 4 towers on the right, but some unknown fault sent one of them careening into that leftmost tower and ruining the whole job. But if you thought that screw-up was bad, wait till you see this botched effort to knock down a 170-foot storage silo in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. Holy quack. Did that crane driver just… This appalling incident from back in 2022 was all thanks to Chung Tae Construction. Along with knocking out a nearby transmission tower, this sorry excuse for a company put several lives at risk, though none more than the dude operating the crane. But if you're worried about him, take a look at it from a different angle. Hot damn, thank God this guy can run like Tom Cruise on an impossible mission. While luckily nobody was hurt, the damage cut power to a nearby high-speed railway, temporarily shutting down train services across half the country. On top of that, this blunder was the day before the Qingming Festival, a traditional Chinese holiday when people traveled to their ancestral graves to offer food and clean tombstones. So a surge in traffic, combined with the suspended services, ended up delaying over 126,000 people. Over 160 workers rebuilt the transmission tower, and those involved in the botched demolition were brought in by the government for questioning. Turns out they'd ignored an agreed-upon method for tearing down the silo, instead winging it with a wrecking ball. Chung Tae Construction was fined over $200,000 for failing to comply with regulations, but considering how badly they screwed up, that seems light. Everyone's afraid of messing up in front of a crowd, but imagine messing up so badly a whole city notices. And that's exactly what happened during the destruction of a 22-story residential building in Liuzhou, China. While many crooked buildings are a result of natural disasters, like this one from the 2018 earthquake in Taiwan, it's rare to see a structure survive a planned demolition by sheer willpower. The original plan was for the structure to split in half and neatly fold in on itself. Instead, one half fell on the side, and the other became the city's very own Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's true the tower's imperfection makes it strangely endearing, but lopsided structures pose a major risk to people and surrounding objects, so it was knocked down, successfully, by cranes not long after. Imagine one moment you're relaxing, and then the next you're starring in a disaster movie. Well, it's probably how these guys felt. This close call in Kunming, China, is another example of why sites need a wide enough exclusion zone where workers and civilians aren't allowed to go. This zone is usually separated into 4 parts: the structure itself, the area where it's expected to fall, the places where debris is likely to fly, and a buffer area. Now, if we look at our crowd, they're in 3 out of 4, meaning they could only be less safe if they were in the dang building. Yeesh. Luckily, everyone got away alive. And sometimes, though, people don't even realize how close they are to their own demise. Take this crowd from Bawada, India, watching a water tank as it's literally pulled over. Man, one stray piece of rubble in the wrong direction and they'd have been an X crowd. Then there's the risk of that tower rolling right into the excavator. So why use a piece of machinery when a trusty pole can do the work? In case you couldn't tell, that was sarcasm. While it worked out okay this time, a random piece of metal is not a safe way to take down a massive water tower either. But it's not just people who are at risk. A good exclusion zone should consider nearby traffic too. Otherwise, you get moments like this. That dude really couldn't give a flip. Safe to say, it probably wasn't his car. Some people really go above and beyond for their job, but nobody's done more for a paycheck than this guy. This video from somewhere in the Middle East shows a guy working barefoot with a sledgehammer 50 feet off the ground. Forget the hammer, give that guy a scalpel. He's got surgical precision, but as impressive as it is, it's also shockingly unsafe. In Saudi Arabia, as many as 21,000 lives were lost in construction accidents between 2016 and 2024. So, while this guy likely made it out okay, many more sadly don't. This demolition was going swimmingly until it eked just close enough to chip its neighbor. Some silos, on the other hand, won't go down without a fight. I like to think the silo's bowing its head in respect and not, wasting everyone's time. Speaking of wasting time, nobody likes to see a job half done, but the first half was executed flawlessly. It's important to always know your limits, otherwise you're just an accident waiting to happen. City living always means inhaling your weight in exhaust, but this demolition adds a metric ton of dust into the mix. Demolitions in an urban area is an incredibly delicate process. Otherwise, you get incidents like this. This person got a mere breath away from planting himself in his own grave.
Oh no!
You got the whole thing!
Oh. Oh my god.
You okay?
Whoa!
Jesus!
Just got paid.
Dude, you got the money shot. Oh my god.
But is that guy okay? That's my next question. That was not supposed to happen.
Oh, there he is. He's out. Dude.
Dude, you talk about walking away from some serious...
This 6-story parking lot collapse in Houston, Texas really put those excavator cages to the test. Thankfully, they're built to withstand over 500 pounds dropped from 17 feet before breaking. But sometimes it still isn't enough. Then all you can rely on is sheer luck. Like this dude, carving the plaster from the legs of a water tank in the Vijayapura district, India. If that had fallen slightly differently, then goodbye, driver. Instead, he burned about a year's worth of good luck in 3 seconds. Few landmarks have fallen from grace quite like the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit. Equipped to hold 80,000 people, this once iconic stadium held a Super Bowl, a World Cup, and even a 93,000-person mass run by Pope John Paul II. But due to financial issues, by 2017, it was a literal shell of its former self. So, on December 3rd, it was finally time to tear it down. The plan was to destroy the upper section using explosive charges. So, how did things work out? Talk about a big swing and a miss. It turns out 8 of the charges failed to fire, just enough to keep the stadium standing. They initially planned to leave it with so few supports left, it was just a matter of time before it finally gave. But a day later, they came back to finish the job. This time using a whopping 600 pounds of TNT, twice as much as before, the few remaining pillars were blown to pieces, taking out half the stadium in one fell swoop. Removing the entire dome cost around $8 million, a not insignificant amount extra due to the additional firepower. At least the silver dome got to go off with a serious bang. Now why don't we look at some demolitions done the right way? Proper choice of angle and getting out of dodge when it started tipping. I'd give these guys an A for effectiveness, but what if you just want to walk away like a badass? Wait, let's run that back. Guy even made sure to pick up his shovel. We can only dream of being that nonchalant. Sometimes taking out a structure can feel like David versus Goliath, and in other cases, it looks like it too. We call this one the old 2 birds with 1 stone trick, except the second bird wasn't supposed to remain standing. Don't you love it when a demolished structure folds itself up like a sleeping bag? Then there's times when hours of prep and manpower leads to a stunning piece of demolition, just like with this chimney in 2016. Now that was a thing of beauty. Which demolition did you find the most shocking? Let me know down in the comments. But now we've reached the end of the video, so thanks for watching.